you are that against AI, you will be left in the dust. That is the, well, back on my day, we did it this way. We've always done this way. That's great. AI is so far superior than what a human can do. And yes, we still need the human aspect. You can do whatever you want. I highly suggest you get on that train because it is not only left a station, it's like around the world a couple times at this point. So like, please get on that train. Are your dealership's training methods stuck in the last century? Imagining harnessing the power of AI to tailor learning to each employee's needs. Welcome to Facts Not Feelings. I am your host, Brooke Furniss, and today we are diving deep into how AI is revolutionizing training in the automotive industry, making it faster, smarter, and even more effective. Stay tuned as we explore the future of learning with Ben Choder, the CEO of CallRevu. Ben, welcome into the show. This has been a little bit in the making. I am so stoked to have you on the show right now.
I am so excited, Brooke. I've been listening to your show since I got into the auto space, and it's fantastic. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I know that we were speaking, I think it was DMAC last year or this year. This year, God, it's this whole year is just kind of like combined into one. I'm like, oh, well, that was still this year. And I was like, man, we had a lot of fun with David Malone on earlier last year. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad he officially introduced us. We could shake hands and get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm really, really stoked about this whole topic. So we're just going to dive straight into this, Ben. And
all right.
So if you look at the foundation, let's just start bottom baseline foundation. Can you explain how AI training tools are designed to identify and adapt to the individual learning styles of dealership staff?
All right. So can I give it a little long-winded
Of
answer?
course.
Okay. So if you know anything about CallRevu, and we acquired Total CX and combined, the best call tracking, call analytics tied in with phone systems. So since the history of the company over 16 years ago, it's always been about how do we get, taking every call that comes in, transcribe it, creating summaries, letting you know what you did right, what you did wrong, letting you know what missed opportunities, ideally either helping you sell more cars, build better relationship with customer. We've always been about that. And now that it's 100% AI, it can actually give you real-time information, let management know how they can help. But where the training and why we launched this product called TestTrack is because everyone kept on going to us, how do we even get better on the phones? And we were like, well, if I know that Brooke, on these type of opportunities, let's say setting up an appointment, Brooke keeps on messing up on this. Wouldn't it be great if I could actually put you into like a batting cage? Like you have trouble hitting sliders, I have trouble hitting curveballs. Someone else has trouble hitting a fastball. Let us go in there, do that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour rule and get better at it. So really what we built TestTrack and why the AI works is I know that Brooke is having trouble doing this. And instead of just writing it and saying, hey, Brooke, you're having trouble doing this. Why don't you work on this? Read this, watch that video. We're saying, nope, we have this custom little test track for you that you could go in and just practice all you want. So one, you're not practicing on the most valuable commodity, customers. Someone's going to come in and spend $25,000, $50,000 for a car. We don't want to experiment them. Or even in service, we don't want to miss the opportunity to get them in. We don't want them going across the street and getting service somewhere else. So how do we create a custom training for you that you can constantly get better and you could always go back into whenever you want? And you don't have to practice in front of a mirror or feel silly practicing in front of a colleague or your spouse. You get to work with a two-way AI. Either you call the AI and it talks to you, or the AI calls you based on what the situation is, and you get better. And then we do the same thing we do with our call tracking. With that, we transcribe it, create a summary, see if you met all the criteria what you're supposed to do. So how do we build custom training, but also follow what does the dealership want you to learn? And that's how we came out with TestTrack. And it's been like a year in the works. And it's not only is it super cool, it actually works.
Funny concept.
Yeah.
As you're saying all this, Ben, like all I'm doing is having a little PTSD of like when I first got in the industry, it was the whole, trying to learn how to present that all of that information to a dealer. And my good friend had got me the job. Well, he's like, "Hey, you apply for this job, whatever." And like we just sat. Our weekends consisted of us just going back and forth and
Yep.
doing the same thing. So we spend hours upon hours of like trying to figure out. Okay, well, you say influx this word just a little bit more. Oh, you
Yeah.
actually didn't say this. Say this. And so I'm like, man, this would have been so nice to have
Yeah.
15 years ago, 16 years ago, versus nothing that's bad to abuse your friendship and like, hey, I'm going to use you for a hot second. But that would have been so nice to have something like that. And now it's here. And especially phone is, now we spend so much money to acquire, which we don't have an acquisition problem. That's a whole other story itself. But that phone is so important. And if we have one chance and then we
Yep.
make that phone call. And if we blow it, your competitor and our competitors are getting that customer from us because we didn't do our job. So this is not on the script. How did this whole thing come about? Like, how did you guys develop TestTrack, knowing that this is a problem? But you think, oh, it's phone. Maybe that's not really in our wheelhouse. How did you guys get here?
All right. So really where it really started, the orientation of it was we had customers constantly say to us, how do we get better on the phone?
Yeah.
Fix the phones. Like, so we had a fix the phone report and telling people what they say, but it's just data. It doesn't really, I mean, it worked for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And then we said, when a customer, if they did leave us, they never left us because they didn't believe in call tracking and all the information. Maybe they're not seeing the results. And we're like, hey, maybe if we could help. We don't want to be physical trainers. The trainers that go on site, they're the greatest thing in the entire world. They got to go and train. But when they go in and train, like everyone's human nature, 60 days, 90 days later, I start falling back into my old ways. It's sort of like the whole batting cage thing. A batting instructor tells you what to do. You get really good. And then you start lowering your elbow again and you start making mistakes again. And here's the ability for you to actually fully engage and fully learn. So where it really came from is customers saying to us, how do we get better on the phones? So we had this idea last year at NADA saying, hey, let's build an AI and see if we can have dealers come to our booth and get an appointment set. Everyone thinks they're the greatest salesperson in the world. And we had a line, like it was a hit. And we're like, oh my God, we have a business here. This is like a business solution because I liked using it. And also we found it's like the easiest thing to understand because when you get into call tracking, you kind of understand that you're capturing the call. You understand the importance of the phone. You understand the summary, but everyone understands the gamification or the video game aspect of talking to someone and having two-way. And we spent, the last year building it, testing it, baiting it. I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times myself, and I'm still like the worst. No one wants to hire me as a car salesperson, but it works. And then when we launched it as an alpha and then a beta, we're like, this really worked. And now that we've actually launched it, this has been the fastest selling product in the history of CallRevu that we've ever had. And in less than a month in the market, it beat all of our forecast numbers, and it's just getting better. And we're only in this first stage where it's embedded if you're a CallRevu customer. Next month it comes out, or by the time this airs, it'll be open to anyone, even for non-CallRevu customers. And where it's going next is the ability to create custom scenarios. So if any dealership has a playbook that they use, but they want to make it two-way interactive, hand us the text for the playbook. We put it into our system, and now you could have two-way conversations and you could have these two-way games.
And I can't remember where I watched this. This is going back a couple years ago, but it was all about the gamification
Yep.
and how well, if you can take that and capitalize it and truly optimize it. I just threw about like 15 buzzwords there, but if you can do all that,
Yep.
the difference in whatever you're doing, whether it's, hey, we are a company and our rewards program be more like Starbucks. Well,
Mhm.
Starbucks does gamification, all these little things that make such a difference. So pivot a little bit here, but you have all these advancements, right? So how does the AI training interact with other digital transformation initiatives within the dealership? And the follow-up to that is there a synergy that enhances overall operations and performance?
It's the whole thing, right? We built it originally to say, okay, how does it interact with sales and service? But we have F&I, we have onboarding, we have reception, we have every other part of it. Look, anytime you are going to interact with a customer or a colleague, there needs to be things that you need to learn and do. Like where we see the product going is, hey, maybe you're going to use it before you hire someone as they going through the HR process. Can you sell to this AI? Can you practice? Can we review it? So it was all about how do we get better at everything we do and practice? And what better way to practice? Because I don't know about you, but for me, I retain some when I read. I retain a little bit more when I watch, but if it's long form, it kind of loses me. I like to be in a room with like 5, 6 people. I learn a lot there. This I actually even learn more because I'm constantly going back and forth and tweaking my presentation and getting more comfortable. Because you and I were talking before we went on there. You're going to a conference very shortly and you're speaking at a conference, and I'm speaking at a conference. And we don't just go to the conference without creating slides and practicing in front of a mirror. But still, we have no idea how the audience is going to take what we say. How if I could tell you this is what we're going to get to sentiment, we're going to get to summary, it's going to say, man, you said 37 times, or everything you did, so you can work on and you could keep on doing it, and in a way that doesn't feel like I'm just talking to the mirror.
It's so interesting you bring that up because no joke. Right before we got on this call, I was on another call with a colleague that's on a panel with me at the conference, and we're going through, and she just goes, "Well, we can put this all together, but you and I both know that the conversation will probably go like a hard left to Albuquerque. It's going to go a completely different direction. And as you can practice all you want. You just never know. Even doing this, like we have a script, we've tried to follow it." But right out of the gates, I'm like, well, let's actually go this direction. You just never know how that's going to go. And you do have to practice that, but also be very flexible to know that things will most likely change.
Absolutely.
They really do. So before we continue exploring the impact of this incredible AI, and not just your AI, but AI in general on dealership training, I just want to take a quick moment to recognize the innovation that has been brought by CallRevu. Their new AI-powered platform, TestTrack, is truly redefining the automotive industry. From boosting sales to enhancing customer experience, TestTrack is the game changer dealerships have been waiting for. So it's a big thanks to CallRevu for leading the charge in those transformative training solutions. And I say that all, Ben, is that we talked about before having Dave Malone on the show,
Mhm.
and I pride myself in knowing a lot about a lot of different companies. That's kind of part of my job. Why I have a job is to know all the different ins and outs and all the dirty secrets of where the bodies are lying. Let's be honest. And David and I, like, we go back and we were
Yep.
like, we got reintroduced. I was really blown away with the technology at the time. Total CX had, which is now
Mhm.
Call Review, and I just go, this is how. Where were you guys hiding? I had no
Yeah.
idea that this all is it's incredible. So as time goes on and people reach out like, hey, what call tracking provide? I'm like, hey, it's up to you. Here are your two options. But it's like you guys have done. You're so far beyond what other companies are doing. I was really like the real time integrations, all these different things. Then you couple that with what you're doing right now with AI. I have just kudos to everyone there. So I'm going to say like kudos to everyone.
Look, and there's two ways to look at it. One is like I went on my one of my first installations of our phone system last week, and what was fascinating to me is there's phone systems and then there's call tracking, and everyone's integrated to some point, but
Yeah.
not fully integrated the way Total CX integrator. So now Call Review integrates with the call tracking. So if you're a sales manager, there's something you need to see how it's going on with everyone's call. If you're the salesperson, there's certain things you want the phone system to do and what the AI and the call tracking to do. And if you're the GM, you want to see how it compares to all of my stores, if I have a bunch of stores, or just all my salespeople. And it allows you to do it. No one integrates the way these two. I mean, we integrate, we're agnostic to every phone system, but nothing integrates the way we do with our phone system. And so that makes it pretty magical. And then if you take the power of AI, look, there was an article this week or last week in Harvard Business Review on will AI take the place of CEOs? People like me. And you sit there and you go, when you read it, you go, it's going to take the place of a lot of things, but it's not going to take place of people. The best part in a dealership, it's not going to take place of a salesperson. It's not going to take the place fully replace of someone in service. Google still says out of every one form that's filled out online, it equals 4 phone calls to the dealership. People are smarter when they're calling. They're more educated. They know more about the price, but they still want to talk to someone when they buy the car, and they still want to go in and see the car and maybe drive the car, look at the car, trade in a car. So it is so important that the AI not only helps you get better, but helps you do some prediction. Like, where is this person going to go? What is the information on this person? How do I help you, create a better engagement? So we get them into the showroom, and then we know, at all dealers feel this way. I get you in the showroom, I have a really good chance of closing you. And that is all we want to do, is give you, theoretically, we're putting you in a batting cage. We just want to give every dealer more swings at the bat when people come in, if we could help you get more people into the showroom.
And that is, yeah, there's so many things to unpack right there. And I have to like lead into the next question about
Yep.
the human aspect of it. But I'm seeing more and more AI when done correctly and
Yep.
appropriately. And this will, I'm sure by the time this airs, this has changed again because AI is
Yep.
evolving so quickly. But how much of the mundane tasks that you normally have to do as a human and be like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. Like, when it comes to Gary Vee had a great quote, and I've stolen it. I
Yep.
will give him credit. He said this, not me. But he had said, when the tractor first came out, that everybody was so fearful that farmers were going to put out of commission, when in fact that wasn't the case. It just made them a lot more productive.
Yep.
And when you're seeing when the AI is done correctly, how productive you can be. So going right into that is, so as this AI evolves, how do you see it impacting the role of human trainers within the dealership?
Look, I think, the CEO of Adobe has the best quote ever about AI. AI is just supposed to take away the fear of a blank page. And that's how it's going to affect internally. You can take that. He's doing that for someone who wants to be creative and write something where you're like, I need a topic. Hey, give me a topic, and it give you bullet points, and then you could be creative. It's not about writing the article for you. It's not about writing the information. It's not about taking the place of anything inside a dealership. Let the AI take the fear away of not having all the information, and let the AI do all the mundane tasks that no one wants to do anyway, so I can focus. How about, just to use like a healthcare example with the AI, which is the same, because we transcribe and capture everything in the dealer. In healthcare, how amazing, instead of the doctor being in the EMR when he's doing a checkup on you, Brooke, and typing like this while you give him all your information, if he can have a conversation with you, look at you, the AI is capturing it all, and you're thinking as a doctor, maybe this is what's wrong with Brooke. And then you look at the EMR, the information, and the AI is going, have you asked Brooke, like, has she have this? It lets you start thinking about things that you can't know everything. It just brings everything to you. And the same thing it's going to do in a dealership. I'm on the phone with a customer says this. It's going to tell me, besides the 20 things I know, hey, did you think of asking her? She kind of mentioned that she likes, I don't know, white tires. It will say, oh, hey, we have 9, it's going to help you engage more, because we're always trying to look at what's that quick information that we don't always remember, or we remember after the call.
Mhm.
Now it allows me to do it during the call or during the interaction. That's the power of AI, and that's what should be embraced.
And there's like little things like that make such a difference. I remember there was a call tracking company that came out. Well, they'd been around for a bit, but they had this enhancement where the BDC or the store or whomever could quickly look at all the pros and cons given another vehicle.
Yep.
And normally you'd have to go to the OEM to find that. I was like, how nice is this? And they're like, oh, we use this function all the time to quickly just be able to do that. So having it in real time, being able to do that is just, oh my God, like that's so, once again, if I could go back when I first got in the industry and didn't have the Rolodex, and things have improved since then, but having something like this, there's no reason why we shouldn't be having the ROI through the roof. Like
Yep.
it's just it really is, and I know we said this before, but it is a very much a game changer. Be able to have all this information at your fingertips,
Yep.
real time, be able to see everything. Like it's yeah, I'm a big fan.
And being able to pull in all this information that we know about the potential customer that's publicly facing. And
Yep.
so you know that you can relate better, and you know what what their buying history is. And it just helps having it all there. And that's really all we're trying to do. Give you better opportunities when the opportunity occurs. And if we do that, then we're doing our job.
Amen to that. Yeah, we'll just end the show on that right there. There we go. But we will continue a little bit more here in a couple more questions. But that like encompasses everything right there. So you're looking forward here a little bit. Do you see a role for AI in facilitating collaborative learning, or is it more peer-to-peer interactions within dealership training programs?
No, I think it's both.
Okay.
I think, because the best part about the AI, it constantly learns. And with the ML tied in with the AI, and let's say I'm one dealership group, taking all that blind data of thousands of employees going through them and thousands of opportunities, and you take all the call tracking and you put it all, that's when it becomes this two-way, ever evolving, not just one way. And look, when we launched TestTrack, it's the first product we have that's truly two ways. It actually talks to you. It has a conversation with you. And every time you do it, you're going to get different answers because it gets smarter. It knows that Ben keeps on trying to throw in floor mats, and that worked the first time, but it's not working on the third and fourth time. You got to get smarter, Ben. You got to be able to engage more to entice me to come into the dealer.
And so you kind of just answer this question, like like looking at this question, I'm like, oh, it's just a perfect segue into it. So it is all about that customer feedback. And so when you've got AI moving on there, can your AI, and it sounds like it can, training modules adjust based on this feedback?
It does. It's built that way. I mean, you don't want to say that the AI constantly gets smarter, the ML constantly. It does,
It
and we
does.
constantly put it in and tweak in different points that are important. And look, things change, and when things change, you want to make things that are different and more important part of it. So what's great is it gets smarter on its own, but we also get to add elements that we want, whether it's curveballs or just information that we want to add. That's what makes it really exciting. I mean, look, when I was in high school, if I had the ability, I mean, first, if I had ChatGPT, that'd be pretty amazing. But if I had the ability to do a practice test, an oral practice test with an AI who's going to communicate back with me and say, yeah, it's not really the right answer. Maybe you should have thought it out this, Ben. How much smarter would I have been? And that's not cheating. It's just having the conversation. So,
And I don't want to date either of us. I'm going to at least date myself here. That college, like laptops were not a thing.
yep.
Like now, it's my 3-year-old niece has got a laptop by the time she reached kindergarten, and so it's the technology is evolving so quickly, and it's just like, are we keeping up with it? Because I know there's definitely fears of AI. I am a big proponent of AI when you still have to have that human interaction because you're the human at the end of the day, and having it. Hey, yes, it does get smarter. I mean, I remember when ChatGPT first released, and it was in a matter of a month what had happened, and now it's like it's not even the same. It's completely different. And but also knowing how to use it. I was working with a gal earlier, and um, you could tell that the assets were put together by AI. And it was by someone that you just wasn't 100% sure how to use AI. I'm like, oh, you got to keep asking, you got to do this, and yes, it's going to
Yep.
learn. But you're the human entering the prompt, or you're the human that's building the machine. Like you're the one that's still in that whole that portion of it. And we can't forget about that. So we're talked about all this amazingness, and we're talking about the enhancing everything. So speaking of all that, the enhancing interactions, what role does emotional intelligence then play in your AI training programs, and how does AI teach soft skills for customer facing roles?
All right. So emotional intelligence is like one of the keys. I mean, for you to be successful in anything,
Yes.
I think it just reinforces it. And it brings to the head, like the summary that comes back and information. Do you have the emotional intelligence? Did you think about this? Why didn't you think about that? It is an enforcer, a reinforcer. It is not, it can't make someone have emotional intelligence if you don't have it. It could just bring it to the forefront. Did you think about that? Just like, look, I find in leadership, like running a company, I could have the greatest people on my executive leadership team, but I can't teach them EQ.
No.
And for some people, if you have it, it's like common sense. Can't you see that you have to have empathy? You have to see people, no two people are exactly the same. Do you see that? But some people just don't see that. You could bring it out to them and they still might not see it. We could just make you aware of it, but that's something you have to get on your own.
That's probably a whole episode in itself.
Yep.
Like, let's be honest. Like, it does. I mean, there's jokes around like you can't teach. I mean, there are no dumb questions. There are some dumb people out there that ask dumb questions. So I'm gonna set the record straight that while that question, maybe if you have an IQ of a tomato, like I can't help that. I'm sorry, but I will try my best to do
Right.
this. But yeah, I totally understand on that one. And the whole empathy portion, like that is, yeah. I don't know if you can really teach that. I would love to be able
No,
to, but I don't know that you can teach that.
but it's like but if you have it, you have it. Um, I think you get more empathy. You could get more empathetic. You could, I
Yeah.
guess, the more you experience world and life, you have the ability to do it. But I think innately you either have, it's like you have that gene or you don't have that gene.
Agreed.
You could harness it and make it better and sharper and more aware, but you have to be able to see it. Look, like a narcissist doesn't really know they're a narcissist. Like we've all been to dinner with people on business where at the end of the dinner, you know everything about that person, how many kids they have, how many successes they have. They can't even tell you if you're married, have kids, where you live, where you went to school. They know nothing about you. For me, I want to be the guy who asks all the questions. I want to ask you, I want to learn about you because that's what's exciting to me. Other people, it's just, they just want someone to listen, and you're never going to teach someone that.
They just want to hear themselves speak. And then I always feel like we'll go back and refer it to almost like a be dating. Is
Yep.
that for me? Like I want to know more about the person, so I'm
Yep.
going to do everything I can. And this, whether it's dating, whether it's hey, I'm looking at prospective client.
Yep.
The more questions you ask and get the attention onto them, the
Yep.
the better you're going to be all the way around. But I am very much the same way. I'm like, no, let me ask these questions and get to know the person more. Now, the whole memory situation is a whole other story.
Oh,
That's why we have everything in Google Calendar. We write everything down because I will not remember it.
right. But if someone gives you information in a good story, in a good way, you tend to remember it,
Oh yeah,
you know?
yes, and that's also where AI comes in as well. Like, just
Yeah.
take the notes
Which
for me.
goes
So,
back to that great saying, that I do a weekly video to the employees, and this week's theme was a Maya Angelou saying that said, "People will forget what you do, people are gonna forget what you say, but people will never forget how you made them feel."
love it.
And the same thing with a customer, right? When you're dealing, they might forget what you say, they might forget what you do, but they're not going to forget how you made them feel during that purchase or them coming in for service. And how hard is it to just make someone feel like good about it, you know?
Mhm. And I will tell you, even from like an ROI standpoint, it's not just how they felt good about it. I am more willing to pay
Uh-huh.
more for something when I know I'm not a number, that I am seen as a human being that is not just a customer and a dollar bill or a number sign. Like you actually know who I am. And I remember this is going back, this is probably 2009, probably. And a friend of mine had a BMW. And he was just so blown away that and he didn't have the BMW anymore, but every birthday he would get a thing, hey, a card, handwritten card in the mail from his sales associate. He just goes, I don't even live in the same state, and yet I'm still getting this. Like, that is someone that actually does care. Like,
Yeah.
it's just those little things make such a difference to it. So uh, going on with more with AI here, it plays such a pivotal role, like such a pivotal role. But what ethical considerations do you encounter, and how do you ensure the AI remains unbiased in its training delivery?
That's controller who creates the prompts, right? We create, we don't let the AI create the scenarios. We create the scenarios. We put the guardrails around it. And that's what you have to do. And keep in mind, we don't use the AI to engage with the customer. We're giving it to you to give you information to help you be better prepared. It's like the coach talking in your ear. That's all the AI is supposed to be, and not telling you what to say, but saying, "Hey, did you think about this? Here's the whole scenario." It allows you to have a 360 view when we're all focused on, I need to be looking Brooke in the eyes when I'm having a conversation to engage. This allows me to see everything around me and give me all the information about the situation we're in. And that's how it should be used. But look, AI could end up being, for some cases, not the best thing.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't use AI to make sales calls. Like, I want to talk to a human. I don't think that's really fair. I don't want to talk to an AI. An AI would give me some answers, but I still want to be able to talk to a human when I need to. Like, I love that United Airlines, when I call them, their AI knows it's me and
Mhm.
tries to, but I'm still going to talk to a human at one point, and I want to be able to get there fast. So I think it's disingenuous if the AI, if you're not letting me get to that human interaction. And the best part about the auto industry, unlike others, we still want you to get to that human, and we still want you to get to someplace physically. That's why I think it's not going to really truly happen in the auto space.
It is. That is, to your point, how many times, like, what I don't want to see is that I've said, it recognizes me, and then I get to the person and I have to repeat everything. Like, that drives
Yep.
me bonkers. That's a whole other situation itself. But being able to call whatever it is, like American Express is obviously
Yep.
very well known for their customer service. Like, I call in, they know who I am. They know, whether it's on my blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, whatever card, they know everything about me. And there's not a whole lot of, for the most part, there's not a lot of repeating myself as well.
Yep.
But I can get through what would normally be a phone tree or whatever it's
Yep.
going to be, and it automatically is going to send me over here. And how much time that just saved me. Like,
Yep.
there was I think it was earlier, maybe even last year. and the process of moving and selling a home, and trying to work with certain insurance companies was a freaking nightmare. And we called the insurance company about blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, we can't do this. You actually have to go through this. And we on the phone for like hours at a time, and no one can give us. And we never got to a human being. So it's like eventually it just becomes the point like, well, I'll never use this company ever again. It's just so frustrating when you can't get to talk to a human.
Yep.
So AI is great, but you have to have that human interaction for sure.
Yep. 100, we're both on the same page.
All right, Ben. So looking forward, has CallRevu explored using AI for predictive analytics in identifying future training needs?
That's what we're launching with TestTrack. That's where it's coming, especially with our call tracking. That's already doing that, and so you're going to see a lot of exciting things as we go through the fourth quarter and into first quarter of 25.
What are you most excited about? You've got a really cool product here. What are you most excited about?
Getting it, so the new product getting in the hands of people and having them using it and seeing how it does make a difference and seeing where it goes. Look, it's interesting that when I joined a little over a year ago, how much innovation can we bring? And it's amazed me if you just unshackle your team and sit there and go, what we're trying to do is help solve a problem that dealerships have or make them better, whether it's customer journey and customer engagement, sell more cars, do better service. If you just start thinking out of the box, what before we had these technologies might take us years to come to market with, now 6 months, 9 months later, you could come to market with something that makes it different, that's fully baked. That's exciting. So if you asked me a year ago, would we have a product that's going to do this two-way? If you asked me a year ago, was our analytics going to be where it is today? I'd probably say no. So where we're going to be come June of 25, I'm just excited. Like by the time we get to NADA in New Orleans, I'm sure we're going to have something really more, even more amazing to bring into market, especially now that we have the phone system, the analytics, and the training tool. And again, let's get you better on the phones and get more and more people into your dealerships.
So this is kind of a follow up, kind of the same question here, but a little bit different. But what future developments I will say do you foresee slash would you want to see in with AI training?
More like instantaneously, like I can sit there as a salesperson and say, I want to get better at this. And let's say right now we have 30 scenarios that you could work on that either the OEMs, the dealers, whatever came up with, that I can actually sort of on the spot say, here's a scenario I just ran through. What could have I done better? Can I practice? Like, because you never know what's going to happen. And if it's something that happened to me, I'm sure it's something else that happened to somebody else in another dealership somewhere else, or even in another industry somewhere else. So how do I get it where I just look into the microphone and I go, hey, here's the problem I'm running through. And it goes like a minute later, it goes, okay, we're ready. Let's try this scenario out and try to do this and this.
Yeah, I even like you look at like the chat GPTs of the world,
Yep.
and it quickly went to voice recognition
Yep.
because everyone's talking on stuff, and how that just is a very different. Like, yes, I can prompt. Currently keep a running list. I have for some time now, a running list of prompts because it's like I do want to keep them the same, so it's whatever. But how much easier it is when I can just talk it out, and then it automatically has come back to me with whatever, and it will talk back to me. So it
Yeah.
does make a difference.
It's almost
100%.
like brainstorming. I get to brainstorm with the AI and it gets to test and we get to go back and forth. And every time I get a little better at it, that's where I think the future of it is. And when I say the future, I'm not talking like years away. Based on everything that's going on, it's months away, right?
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It is 100% evolving so quickly, and I definitely seen people that are very against it, and I get their concerns. I also understand if you are that against AI, you will be left in the dust. That is the well, back on my day, we did it this way. We've always done it this way. That's great. AI is so far superior than what a human can do. And yes, we still need the human aspect. You can do whatever you want. I highly suggest you get on that train because it is not only left a station, it's like around the world a couple times at this point. So like, please get on that train.
At least try it. Like
Yes.
if you try it and you don't like it, great. But don't be like it used to be like, oh, that's how the kids are doing it. I don't want to do. No, like it's free for the most part. Try it.
Yeah.
See how it works. You can start thinking out of the box, and that's what it really enables you to do. So Like in the case of auto, if you're a dealer, don't just sit there and go, nope, it's not going to work for me. Just test it. See how it works. You might really love it. Or you might come up with your own great idea of how it's going to work in your situation. And that's the other part great about AI. It's not one size fits all.
Mm-mm.
And that is, to me, means I get to decide how my organization is going to represent itself, how it's going to run, and here's the tools.
And that, to your point on that one, that is something that's also find a product that, because there's some, I won't say bad AI out there. There's some that haven't been fully, they're not fully baked ideas. So if you don't, if you're being told it's not customizable or things like that, I would question a little bit,
Yep.
knowing that, hey, with this, test track, hey, it's not just this. Here's how else it can be personalized to you. Or hey, I want this and this and this and this,
Yep.
which is still personalization and customizing. I get that, but really do your due diligence and research to understand, is this a good product that is going to give me the best outcome for AI, or if I just signed up for something because the word at this, I've jokingly said that my company should be like AI slash CDP because people throw around those terms all the
Yeah.
time.
Well,
So really understand, is it AI? Is it just really
so
predictive
I
analytics?
don't want to drive you, but here's my favorite term because um, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they used to be the saying, if you could substitute during blockchain, everyone was blockchain, blockchain, blockchain.
Yes.
And there was this saying, if you could substitute the word database for blockchain or substitute the word blockchain for database, then it's really not blockchain.
No.
And it's the same concept. If you could just substitute the word AI for something else, then it's really not that. And that's not what it's about. Like, so stop, like just throwing the word about AI. No, it's not.
Mhm.
Just because you say now our company's AI, does that really make you AI? Like
Yeah.
in our case, even forget about TestTrack. We went the history of CallRevu and all the call tracking companies. There were humans who would listen to recordings and type down the transcripts and then
Yep.
write summaries. Then it went to humans and ML, which kind of made it faster. We truly use AI, and so do some of our competitors. But there's no humans involved. AI takes in the transcript and then summarizes it for you, and then it does a lot more. But that's basically what it does. That's AI.
Yes.
Just saying that my company does AI. Why? How? How's it different than the way you were doing yesterday? We know it's different because we have no humans going like this anymore. That's how you know it's AI. So prove why it's AI, and don't just substitute a word in 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 a business plan and go, hey, now everyone's going to want to work with us. It doesn't work.
Yeah, the other one that drives me a little bonkers, people will claim it's AI, and it's just if then what? I'm like,
Yeah.
so really, if I go off script at all, I'm not going to get the right answer because it's not true AI at that point. And I
Yep.
know there's a lot of people like, oh, I don't even know what that is, Brooke. I've never even heard. How do I know the question to ask? But just as much as you can. Plus, you got two people on the show right now that will help. If you have a question like, is this true? Just reach out to one of us. Like
Yep.
that's also a very easy solution for everybody. So with that, Ben, we have reached the point of the show where we are diving in to the lightning round with you. So, first and foremost, for everyone knows at this point, we've got Ben's wonderful QR code right below here. That's going to take you not only to him, but also to CallRevu. You can learn more about CallRevu. But for those that are listening in podcast land, how can they get in touch with you and or CallRevu and find you?
They can either email me at benchoder@callreview.com, go to our website, see me on LinkedIn. I will always respond and just engage.
That's the biggest thing. All right. We like that. All right. So, the name of the show is Facts, Not Feelings. How do you separate facts from feelings, whether it's in your daily life or it can be in your personal life?
Wow, that's really that's like a really hard question, but it's a great question. Facts over feelings. Hey, listen, it's just about the facts. But I don't think facts without having feelings really matter either, because just because you have the facts, you gotta have feeling. There's still people involved, right? So I'm a big believer personally on I want the facts. I want like show me where this came from and what the information is. And so it just makes me smarter and I'm all about facts.
That makes two of us. I'm like, give me the data. I will say though, like, to your point is that when you once you have that data, understand how to extrapolate it and how it's going to affect each and every person. I mean, I had a client this morning. We were talking, and there was a lead source provider that just dumped a ton of leads into the system. And I'm like, do you guys even know Are you paying for this? Or, I mean, do you even, no, 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 we don't know anything about this. So really in the taking once, because I can just say, oh, this is a crap provider, which in that case, it was not a great provider. That being said, is it's directly impacting the dealership at a dealership level to say, man, I don't even know if I'm paying for this. It's now just flooding my BDC department. So there's so many ways to just, yes, while facts are very important, and I'm a big proponent of it, understand the other portion as well. So what is something that most people wouldn't know about you?
Two things.
Okay.
One is I just ran my first triathlon.
Oh,
So,
hello.
and I've been training for a triathlon since 2019. Then COVID hit for 2 years. And then I missed one because I was traveling, and then I've run my first couple this year.
That is
And
awesome.
it's like the best thing one of the best things I've ever done. Not that I want to do 10 more of them, but it was one of the best things uh, I've ever done. And second thing is that I wrote a book. And speaking about AI, I wrote a book in 2020 before COVID was hired by Wiley Publishing to write a book on an industry that I was in. And when I wrote the book, it had to be 45,000 words. That's normally what a book is.
Okay.
So every morning at 4 a.m., because I still had my day job, I'd wake up and I'd come to a chapter. I knew a chapter, but I didn't know what am I going to write about. If I had AI back then, I'd go into ChatGPT and go, not that I wanted the words, going like, what are some of the topics I should talk about for sponsorship, if that's what it's about? And I'll go, oh, ask for this. And I'd be like, oh, great. Now I could write about that. So it was the most painful thing I've ever done. And now I go, man, if I had ChatGPT, I'd be done in like a third of the time. So
Anyone I have, obviously we some great people in this industry that have written books. And I
yep.
just go, when my friend Tom Klein he just dropped his book, was a month ago. I go, I don't know where you find the time, even with ChatGPT, like the fact that you're up at 4 a.m. That is just so I kudos to anyone that writes a book, because that is not an easy
Oh,
task, especially prior to ChatGPT.
right. Oh, it was awful, awful. But it's cathartic because when you get done, it's like everyone has like that bucket list thing. And I wasn't even trying. I was approached. So you want to say, I want to do this, I want to do this, and you want to do this. Like, always wanted to run a triathlon, always wanted to write a book. And I always want to keep on, like I wake up at 4 o'clock, even before I was writing the book, every morning to work out. Like that's my only time that belongs to me. And it's just, everyone needs challenges ahead of them.
That's impressive. Like, no, it's and even like why I'm very athletic and rarely miss a gym day. The whole like even when I was younger, having the early morning practices, and I used to be an avid runner. So as much as I loved running, marathons I was not a fan of. Cause I'm like, I got to get up. Not that I'm already up at that point, but my body doesn't move. So for me, like I know like my workout time period is going to be like afternoon, maybe mid morning, late night. But yeah, so anyone that's getting up that early, like kudos to all of you. So all right, let's round it out with obviously we're in a great industry. What do you love most about our industry?
The people that I've got to meet, because I'm not from the auto industry. And so when I came in, I had cars, I've purchased cars, I've experienced the industry. It's just the passion of from the owners of the dealerships to the GM to the salespeople to the vendors. Like there is something really special about this industry and how it actually touches the consumer. So there's B to B and the C, and everyone's together. It's fascinating. I've fallen in love with the industry.
I 100% agree. And I've said this a few times. I'm going to say it again because it bears worth repeating. As I ask that question pretty much every interview, and overwhelming, the answer is the people. And it's unfortunate we have such a negative stereotype and we're trusted as much as politicians. Like if people actually got to know us and not just the bad apples, because every industry has them, they'd
Yep.
be just. I'm so impressed with the incredible human beings that are in this industry, because it is like I have lifetime friends out of this industry. I have people that I know would take a bullet for me over other people who claim to be my friends, and they're from this industry. So I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Ben, it has been such a pleasure
I
having you on the
loved it.
show. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No,
I
thank
just thank
you.
you. And David, shout out to you as well, making this whole connection happen as
Yep.
well. And I just, like I said, if you haven't had a chance to check out CallRevu, or hey, we knew them before, now we're not, just go and check them out. You've seen the QR code quite a few times today. It'll also be in the show notes, the links to CallRevu, to Ben, to everything, and then some. But with that, everyone, you all know the drill at this point. Find a way to serve today. find the way to just be the joy in someone's life. Whether that is opening a car door, whether it's a kind smile, just do something to better someone's life today. With that, everyone, we will see everybody next week.